Today we are going to solve Cambridge IGCSE Chemistry 062022 paper. May, June 2022. You will get maximum 45 minutes for this paper, including completing the bubble sheet. So let's start. Number 1. Which two gases will diffuse at the same rate at the same temperature? So you see, we need to find the rate of diffusion. So we need to find basically the mass of the molecules present here. So carbon monoxide, we know carbon monoxide is CO, which is 12 plus 16. So 12 plus 16 is 28. And carbon dioxide is CO2, which is 44. The same rate at same temperature, so the mass should match, right? So we know lighter particles travel faster than heavier ones, and same mass particles will diffuse at the same rate. So carbon monoxide is, we have found 28, and nitrogen C, it's N2, so it's 14 into 2, which is 28. So B should be the only correct answer. Chlorine and fluorine should not have the same mass, and nitrogen and oxygen, say chlorine is 35.5, and we know chlorine is Cl2, so 35.5 into 2, and fluorine is 19 times 2, so it's not the same. And nitrogen we have found is 28, and oxygen is 16 into 2, which is 32. So clearly C, D, or A is not correct. So B is the only correct answer. Question number 2. A student measures the time taken for 2 grams of magnesium to dissolve in 50 cm cube dilute sulfuric acid. Which apparatus is essential to complete the experiment? So they are asking for a student measures the time taken for. So to measure the time, we need stop clock, and to measure the mass of 2 grams of magnesium, we need a balance. And to measure 50 cm cube dilute sulfuric acid, we need measuring cylinder, and we don't need anything else. So thermometer is not required. It should be 1, 2, and 4. A should be the only correct answer. 3 is not correct. So that's it. Simple. Number 3. A chromatogram of a single substance T is shown. So T, the chromatogram single substance T, we have baseline here, we have solvent front here, and we have different measurements given in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which measurements are used to find the RF value of T? We know RF, which is retardation factor or retention factor, is distance traveled by a spot, right? Divided by distance traveled by the solvent. In this case, distance travel, they are asking what is the RF value of this substance T. So it's distance traveled by the spot. It's basically 4 from the baseline till the spot. Basically, it should be the center point of the spot, but whatever measures they have taken, we are taking that. So it's 4 divided by from the baseline till the solvent front, which is 3, right? 3. So 4 divided by 3. So which measurements are used to find the RF value of T? It's 3 and 4 only. That's it. 2 and 1, they do not have any relationship with the measurement of RF value, because we don't take the measurement for from the tip of the paper, rather from the baseline to the spot and from the baseline to the solvent front. So these are the 2 measurements. Number 4, X and Y are 2 different elements. X and Y have the same number of nucleons. Nucleon number means mass number, the same thing. Which statement about X and Y is correct? They are different elements. Which statement? They have the same physical properties. We don't know basically. X and Y have the same number of nucleons. Means nucleon means is proton number plus neutron number. Together they are same. Their atoms have the same number of electrons. Since they have same nucleon number, we don't know actually they have same number of electrons or not. because electron number depends on the number of atomic number or number of protons. They are in different groups of the periodic table, and they have different relative masses. So since X and Y have the same number of nucleons, they may have, we don't know they have same physical properties or not. Their atoms have the same number of electrons. This should not be the correct answer. And they are in different groups of the periodic table. This can happen. So if we look at the periodic table, they have same physical properties we cannot predict. Their atoms have the same number of electrons we cannot predict. They have different relative masses that we don't definitely are not sure of, but they are in different groups of the periodic table. They should be, because X and Y are two different elements, so they should be in different groups of the periodic table, since they have same number of nucleons. Because in the same group there cannot be same number of nucleons, they must have different number of nucleons or mass numbers. So C, for 4C is the only correct answer. Number 5, the diagram shows the structure of 3 macromolecules P, Q, and R. So we can see this one should be silicon dioxide, and this one is diamond, right? And this one is graphite. It's very simple. We have 3 giant macromolecular structures in our syllabus. So what are P, Q, and R? So P is silicon dioxide, then Q is diamond, and then graphite. C should be the only correct answer. 5. Number 6, which dot and cross diagrams show the arrangement of outer shell electrons in a molecule of hydrogen chloride? So hydrogen has 1 electron and chlorine has 7. So A should be the only correct answer. Nothing else is correct. Number 7, the equation for the reaction between barium chloride and dilute sulfuric acid is shown. Which row shows the state symbols for this reaction? We know this reaction, barium sulfate is solid, because in sulfate test we do this reaction. If we add barium chloride, then if any sulfate present, then it gives white precipitate of barium sulfate. So everything else should be aqueous, only barium sulfate is solid. So aqueous, aqueous, solid, and aqueous is correct. So A is the only correct answer. Next point. 8, methane and steam react in the presence of a catalyst. So 0.5 mole of methane reacts completely with 0.5 mole of steam. So this one is 0.5 and this one is 0.5. What is the volume of carbon monoxide and hydrogen produced measured at room temperature and pressure? So if this 2 is 0.5, this should be 0.5, because 1 is to 1 mole ratio, and this should be 0.5 times 3, which is 1.5. So 0.5 and 1.5. So volume of carbon monoxide should be 0.5 dm cube. We know to convert mole, this one is mole and this one is mole. So 0.5 times 24, which is 12, right? 12 dm cube should be carbon monoxide, and hydrogen should be 1.5 mole times 24 is equal to, you see, it's 36. So 12 and 36 should be the correct answer. D. 36 dm cube. Simple. Number 9, a compound of element X has the formula of H2O and a relative formula mass of 144. Which element is X? So X is 2 times O. So if we look at our periodic table, because we need to find the mass of 144. So we have oxygen, 1 oxygen, which is 16, plus 2 into X should be 144. So 2X is equal to 144 minus 16. So X should be 144 minus 16 is 128 divided by 2, which is 64. So we need to find a mass, which is 64. 64 is, copper is 64, you see. The mass of copper is 64. So in this case, A is the only correct answer. Question number 10. Electrolysis. The diagram shows the electrolysis of concentrated hydrochloric acid. So concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated aqueous sodium chloride, both are concentrated. Then hydrochloric acid, we know we have hydrogen ion, we have chloride ion, and since it is a solution, concentrated hydrochloric acid, we need hydrogen ion and hydroxide ion to be considered, as water is present, and water is a weak electrolyte. And in concentrated aqueous sodium chloride, we have sodium ion, we have chloride ion, we have hydrogen ion since it is aqueous, and we have hydroxide ion present. So at which electrode is hydrogen produced? We know this electrode, hydrogen ion, they are cations, so they will go to cathode. So in this case, 2 hydrogen ion will gain 2 electrons. Any of this hydrogen ion goes. So the equation is this. Basically, in electrode 2, hydrogen gas is produced. So electrode 2 is correct. Electrode 2 is correct. And for this one, sodium ion and hydrogen ion, we know metal which are above hydrogen in the reactivity series, they never go to the cathode. So hydrogen ion will go. So electrode 4. So this is correct. Electrode 4. So D is the only correct answer. So question number 10. The diagram shows the electrolysis of aqueous copper to sulfate using inert electrode. You see, inert electrode means graphite is used. Which arrow shows the movement of electrons in the circuit? So they are asking for movement of electrons. So yes, from the power supply. From the power supply, this one is cathode. So this should be the negative part of the battery, and this should be the positive part of the battery. So from the negative part of the battery, electron should come, and electron will come at anode first. So B should be the only correct answer. And this arrow should be in this way. And there is no movement of electrons in C and D. We have in C and D, we have only movement of ions. Because inside the electrolyte, no electron moves. Inside the wire and the electrode, electrons move. So inside the electrolyte, only ions moving. So C and D is not correct. A is not the correct direction, basically the opposite. Since this is the cathode, cathode is connected with the negative part of the battery, and anode is connected with the positive part of the battery, and electron flows start from the negative part of the battery to the positive part. So that should be the thing. So B is the only correct answer. Number 12, which row identifies a chemical change and a physical change? Chemical change. Boiling is not a chemical change. Burning ethanol is chemical change. Dissolving ethanol in water, dissolving is a physical change, right? And evaporating ethanol, it is a physical change. So only B should be the correct answer. So physical change, evaporating water is fine, ethanol is fine. So 12B is the correct answer. So burning ethanol is only chemical change here. Which statements explain why increasing the concentration of a reactant increases the rate of reaction? Which statement explain why increasing the concentration of a reactant increases the rate of reaction? So it increases the collision rate of particles. This is true statement for this question, because if we increase the concentration, it increases the collision rate, because there will be more particles per unit volume. It lowers the activation energy. This goes with catalyst. Catalyst lowers the activation energy. A greater proportion of colliding molecules have the required activation energy. It's not greater proportion, rather it's greater number of particles may cross the activation energy barrier. So 3 is not correct. And there are more particles per unit volume. This one is correct. There should be more particles per unit volume since we have increased the concentration. So B should be the only correct answer for question 13. Question number 14. When the colorless gas N2O4 is heated, it forms the brown gas, right? So if N2O4 is a colorless gas, if it is heated, then it forms NO2 2 moles. So it's a reversible reaction, we know. When the reaction mixture is cooled, the brown color fades and turns back to colorless. And which type of reaction is described by these observations? So if it is heated and cooled, see, heated and cooled, which type of reaction is described by this observation? It is definitely a reversible reaction, because it is heated So reaction is moving forward, and if it is cool, then reaction is moving backward. That's it. So this one is colorless, and this one is brown. So it's definitely a reversible reaction for it. Water is added to anhydrous copper to sulfate. What happens during the reaction? So we know it is a test for water, copper to sulfate. Copper sulfate in solid state, if 5 moles of water is added, then it's a reversible reaction though. So copper sulfate dot 5H2O, which is solid. So this one is white, right? And this one is blue. So what happens during the reaction? When water is added, the copper to sulfate turns blue, and the solution form gets hotter. That is true, as the forward reaction should be exothermic. The copper to sulfate turns blue, and the solution form gets hotter. So B is the only correct answer. So it's from white to blue, and then the solution form gets hotter. This is true. It's not colder. So 15B is the correct answer. 16. Which arrow on the energy level diagram shows the overall energy change for an endothermic reaction? So endothermic reaction, overall energy change. A is basically the EA, activation energy. C is nothing. C is basically nothing. B should be the delta H, which is positive. D is basically incorrect. It's basically the energy change for the reversible reaction. And C is the energy change if it is a reversible reaction. That is, this one is reactant and this one is product. So B should be the only correct answer. Arrow upward from reactant to product, and delta H is positive. So B is the only correct answer. Okay, so 16 done. 17. When hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is in operation, a different reaction happens at each electrode. At the hydrogen electrode and oxygen electrode. So these two reactions are happening. The electrons that are lost at hydrogen electrode travel through the external circuit to the oxygen electrode, where they are gained by the oxygen and water. A hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is operated for a period of time, and 4 moles of oxygen molecules are consumed. Which mass of hydrogen is consumed? So they say 4 moles of oxygen molecules are consumed, right? So if it is 4 moles of oxygen, so if we say it's 4 moles, then we need to multiply everything with 4. So it's 8, and this one is 4 and 4. So it should be 16, because 1 mole of oxygen, to consume 1 mole of oxygen, you need 4 moles of electron. So this one is 4 4s are 16. So in order to balance the equation, we need to multiply the everything with 8. So 8, 16, and not, yes, 8. So this one will be 16. So 16 electrons cancel out. So if a hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is operated for a period of time and 4 moles of oxygen molecules are consumed, which mass of hydrogen will be consumed at the same time? So if we have 16 moles of electrons pass through the circuit, then 8 moles of hydrogen gas will be consumed. So 8H2, which is 8 to the 16. So we know 16 times hydrogen is 1. So it's 16 grams. So D should be the only correct answer. So I hope you understand this, because if in a circuit 16 moles of electron travel, then in the both circuits 16 moles of electron should travel. That's why in order to consume 4 moles of oxygen, at the same time you need to consume 8 moles of hydrogen in order to balance 16 electrons and 16 electrons. Okay, number 18. The oxides of 2 elements, X and Y, are separately dissolved in water, and the pH of each solution is tested. Oxide tested, X and Y, pH of solution. X is 1 and Y is 13. So which element about X and Y is correct? Oxide is acidic. The oxide of X should be acidic because pH is 1. So oxide is acidic X, and pH of solution is 13. So oxide is basic. This is correct. We know as metal oxides are basic. So metal, we know oxide tested, this one is acidic. So acidic oxides are non-metals. Non-metal oxides are acidic. And this one is basic, so it's metal. This one is metal. So Y is a metal, Y is a metal, and X is a non-metal, right? Non-metal. And this one is metal. So B should be the only correct answer. Number 19, an acid is neutralized by adding excess of an insoluble solid base. Soluble salt is formed. How is the pure salt obtained from the reaction mixture? An acid is neutralized by adding an excess of an insoluble solid base. Acid and insoluble solid base. A soluble salt is formed. How is the pure salt obtained from the reaction mixture? So insoluble solid base is excess. For this question, what we need to do is, since our insoluble solid base is excess, so we need to go for filtration first in order to remove the unreacted insoluble solid. Then we need to heat the, we need to take the solution form, that is the salt solution form, in an evaporating basin. We need to evaporate till the crystallization point, right? Then we need to allow it to cool, so crystallization will take place. So D should be the only correct answer. So question number 20, substance J takes part in a redox reaction. In the reaction, J gains electron. So gaining of electron, we know all rig. Oxidation is loss of electron and reduction is gain of electron. So gain of electron is reduction. This statement is correct. It is reduced. It is reduced is correct, and the thing which is reduced cannot be reducing agent, is definitely the oxidizing agent. So J is reduced, so it is the oxidizing agent. So B is the only correct answer. Number 21. Elements in group 4 of the periodic table are shown. What does not occur in group 4 as it described descended? What does not occur in group 4? So the proton number of elements increases if it is descended. Descended means from carbon to lead. The proton number, yes, the proton number of elements increases. This is true. So A is not the correct answer because they're asking for not. The elements become more metallic. Yes, this is true because as we go down, elements become more metallic because the periodic table, we know we have a zigzag line which shows metal, which differentiate between metals and non-metals. All these, including hydrogen, basically, all these are non-metals. The right side, everything is non-metals. And in the left side, whatever we have, including this lanthanoid and actinoid series, these are all metals. So we see from carbon, silicon, then germanium, tin, and lead, the metallic characters are increasing. So this should be a very correct answer. They're asking for not. So the elements become more metallic is correct. The elements have more electron shells is correct. The elements have more electrons in their outer shell is not correct. So thereby this is the correct answer, C. Number 22, which statement about acids is correct? Acids are proton acceptors. Acids are basically proton donors. Acid transfer electrons to bases in aqueous solution. No, it transfer protons to bases in aqueous solution. Hydrochloric acid reacts with ammonium hydroxide to produce ammonia. No, if hydrochloric acid reacts with ammonium hydroxide, it basically forms ammonium chloride and water. So this is not correct, not ammonia, rather ammonium chloride. Ethanoic acid partially ionizes in aqueous solution. This is absolutely correct statement, as ethanoic acid is a weak acid. It's a weak acid, and weak acid, they partially ionize in aqueous solution to give hydrogen ion. So for 22, D is the only correct answer. 23. Which elements have both a high melting point and a variable oxidation state? So high melting point and variable oxidation state both are the properties of transition elements. So B is the only correct answer. Number 24. Lithium, sodium, and potassium are elements in group 1 of the periodic table. Yes. And chlorine, bromine, and iodine are group 7 of the periodic table. Rho identifies the least dense of these elements in each group. So group 1 should be lithium. So as we go down the group, density increases. So lithium is least dense, and group 7, chlorine is least dense, right? Chlorine. So A should be the only correct answer. 25. 25. The reactions of metals P, Q, R, and S are shown. So we have reaction with water, reaction with hydrochloric acid, and reduction of metal oxide with carbon. What is the order of reactivity of the metals? So reaction with water, we can see no reaction and no reaction. So P should be least reactive. P should be least reactive. So least reactive is P. Then we have this one is slow and this one is vigorous. Slow and vigorous, very slow. So very slow we should take. So S should be taken, very slow. Then, so if S is taken, A is the only correct answer. Then Q is slow, then vigorous. So Q is slow, then R is vigorous. So A should be the only correct answer. So from this reaction with water, we can find which one is correct. Number 26, the number of protons and the number of neutrons in the atoms of elements X and Y and Z are shown. So X, Y, and Z, 6, 7, 8 number of neutrons are given. Which statement about the elements is correct? X and Y are the isotopes of the same element. No, they have different number of protons. So cannot be. Z forms an ion with +2 charge. So Z is 8. So the electronic configuration is 2, 6. So it's not +2, rather it should be -2. X and Z react together to form an ionic compound. X is 6. So it should be 2, 4, which should be carbon. And Z is 2, 6. So carbon and 2, 6 means oxygen. So it's not an ionic compound because both are non-metals. Should be covalent compound. X, Y, and Z are non-metals. So that is true. X is 2, 4, which is this X is carbon. Then in the right hand side, we have carbon, which is 6, then nitrogen is 7, then oxygen is 8. All are non-metals. So this is absolutely correct statement, D. Question number 27. Which diagram represents the arrangement of an atoms in an alloy? Alloy should have different sized particles mixed together. So D should be the only correct answer. Number 28. Three metal compounds J, K, and L are heated using a Bunsen burner. The results are shown. J, colorless gas produced, which relights a glowing splint. Here we can see oxygen will be produced. K, colorless gas produced, which turns lime water milky. So this one is carbon dioxide. And L, no reaction. So J is basically, J is not a carbonate, rather J is nitrate. Potassium nitrate should be the correct answer, we know. So if potassium nitrate, say for example, if it is heated, then we know it forms nitrogen dioxide gas and oxygen gas, right? And metal oxide, K2O, is formed as well. So you need to balance the equation, but this is basically the thing. A brown gas, nitrogen dioxide, a colorless gas, oxygen, and the metal oxide forms. And K is a colorless gas which turns lime water milky, so it should be magnesium carbonate or potassium carbonate, anyone in between. So both are correct. Both carbonates will be decomposed to give carbon dioxide. And for L, no reaction. So which will give no reaction is it potassium carbonate? We know potassium carbonate and magnesium carbonate, in between them, potassium carbonate is very stable. It is group 1. So potassium carbonate does not react. So this should be the correct answer. So C is the only correct answer. So 29, processes involved in the extraction of zinc are listed. Heat zinc oxide with carbon, condense zinc vapor, vaporize the zinc, roast zinc ore in air. So roast zinc ore in air, zinc ore is zinc sulfide. If it is roasted in air, then it forms zinc oxide. That is the first step of the reaction. So 4 is the first step. So 4. Then after roasting, after forming zinc oxide, then heat the zinc with carbon. That should be the correct answer. 1. So C should be the only correct answer. So roast zinc ore in air, then heat zinc oxide with carbon. Then we need to vaporize the zinc, then condense zinc vapor in order to get the zinc metal. So C is the only correct answer. Number 30. Which process uses sacrificial protection to prevent steel from rusting? So sacrificial protection is galvanizing. Straightforward. Number 31, fertilizers are used to provide 3 of the elements needed for plant growth. Which 2 compounds would give a fertilizer containing all 3 of these elements? So we know for plant growth, we need potassium and phosphorus, and we need nitrogen. So D should be the only correct answer. Potassium nitrate and ammonium phosphate should give us the all 3 elements which are required. Calcium is not required, right? Calcium is not required. And here we have potassium and ammonium sulfate. No, sulfur is not required. Sulfur is toxic and calcium is not required. So calcium is not correct. So D is the only correct answer. Number 32, which processes produce carbon dioxide? So carbon dioxide, respiration, we respire and the plants respire, means we burn glucose to form carbon dioxide and water. So this is correct. Photosynthesis, which process should use carbon dioxide? In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is consumed. In fermentation, we know in fermentation what happens? Glucose, C6H12O6. This forms C2H5OH, which is the ethanol, and carbon dioxide produces, both produces in 2 moles. So it's in fermentation, there will be production of carbon dioxide. Combustion of hydrogen. So hydrogen, if burns in oxygen, it forms water only. So no carbon dioxide emission. So 1 and 3 is the only correct answer. Number 33, which reaction in the contact process requires use of a catalyst? So we know second process, which involves a reversible reaction. This is the first step 1. This is step 2. So in step 2 is a reversible reaction, and this is the correct answer. In this step, we need a catalyst, which is the catalyst is vanadium pentoxide V2O5. Question number 34. What are the products when limestone is heated strongly? So if limestone, calcium carbonate is heated strongly, there will be metal oxide, calcium oxide, and carbon dioxide. So calcium oxide and carbon dioxide should be the correct answer, 34C. 35, organic chemistry. The structure of ester W is shown. Which row gives the names of the ester W and the carboxylic acid and alcohol from which it is made? So you see, we have C double bond OO. This is the ester linkage, and in the right side of the ester linkage, that is in C single bond O, we have methyl group. So it is methyl, and because 1 carbon, and we have ethanoate ion, which is this one, ethanoate ion, and this one is methyl group. So methyl ethanoate is correct. Then carboxylic acid is ethanoic acid, and the alcohol is methanol. Because if we break the ester linkage, we always break ester linkage from here, and this one is the methanol, and C double bond OH is basically the carboxylic acid, which is ethanoic acid. Number 36, ethene reacts with substance X to form ethanol. Ethene is C2H4. It's react with water, we know. Water means steam, to form C2H5OH. So it's steam. And number 37, alkenes can be produced by cracking large hydrocarbons hydrocarbon molecules to form smaller hydrocarbon molecules, which equations represent possible reactions when tetradecane is cracked. Tetradecane, C14H30, which equation represent possible reactions? So C14H30, you see, if hydrogen produces, there can be only alkenes, C2H6 and C3H6 and C4H8 and C5H10. Let's see, 2 and 3, 5, 5 and 4, 9, 9 and 5, 14, and we have 6, 6 and 8, 6, 6 are 12, 12 and 8 are 20 and 10, 30. So number 1 is fine, correct. C14H30, you see you have 2 carbon and 3 carbon, 5, 5 and 4, 9, 9 and 5, 14, and we have 4 and 6, 10 plus 8, 18 and 10, 28 and 2. This one is also correct. And this one, see, 2 carbon and 3 fours are 12 carbon and 2 carbon, 12 fours, 12 and 2, 14, and we have 6 hydrogen, and 4, 6 are 24, and 6, yes, 3 is also correct. So 1, 2, 3 all are correct. 4 we don't need to see. Number 38, the structures of some hydrocarbons are shown. So these are some hydrocarbons. Which statement about the hydrocarbons is correct? 1 and 2 have the different general formula. 1 and 2 should have the same general formula. So this is incorrect. 1 and 4 are in different homologous series. 1 and 4 are in the same homologous series, alkane. So this is not correct. 2 and 3 are structural isomers. 2 is butane. And this one, 1, 2, 3, and 4, they are not isomers. Rather, this is also butane. So 2 and 3 are not structural isomers. 3 and 4 have the same empirical formula. 3 and 4, this is butane and this one is butane. So should be, this is basically 2-methyl propane. But if we look at the formula, it's C4H10 for butane, and this one is also C4H10. So they should have the same empirical formula as well. So this is the only correct answer. Number 39, ethane reacts with chlorine in the presence of ultraviolet light. Which substance are produced in the reaction? So hydrogen is not produced. If ethane reacts, we know one of the hydrogen will be substituted from ethane. So 2 is correct. And this one, if 2 of the hydrogen is substituted, then it is also possible. And 4, HCl is always produced. So 3 should be also correct. So 2, 3, and 4 should be correct answer, because there can be dye substitution. And HCl and this we understand. Last question, number 40. Which polymer structure has the same linkages as terylene? Terylene is a polyester, right? It's a polyester. Which polymer structure has the same linkages as terylene? So in terylene, we know we have C double bond OO. So this should be C double bond O, and in another side we have O. So this should be the correct answer, B. So B is the correct answer, and this ends the paper. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like the channel. Thank you for today.